Welcome to The Business Fighter with Henry Penix. Henry has been the CEO, founder, and consultant to hundreds of companies worldwide. He retired a multimillionaire, financially independent at the age of 35. Henry grew up a preacher's son and was thrown in jail 3 times for various altercations. He knows what it means to come from nothing and have to fight his way to the top. Henry is the business fighter who will teach you strategic skills for winning in business and in life. Don't just spectate, participate. It's time to get in the ring.
Hey guys, Henry Penix, the business fighter, coming to you with another podcast. The next gentleman on our podcast is a person who I've just met recently, but I think in this environment, he's probably one of the most relative interviews that I've had, because everybody's concerned about their money. Everybody's concerned about wealth. There's short-term wealth, there's medium holdings, and there's long-term wealth. And he's going to kind of wrap those all up for us, give you his advice on how to make it through these times as we go through this national pandemic. So I'm very happy to have Gunderson.
Garrett Gunderson, yeah.
Garrett Gunderson. My phone just went off.
Like right when the name was coming. Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it raw. I'm going to keep this in our podcast. I've never started one over. So Garrett Gunderson, he has the Wealth Factory. You guys are going to love meeting him and spend the next 15, 20 minutes with us. When we're done with this, send it to 10 or 15 of your best friends, because I know he's going to drop some golden nuggets on this audience that is really going to help you get through these times. I really mean that. So Garrett, so glad to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me. And it is a chaotic time. And I think that cash and cash management, especially around cash flow, is essential. And having enough liquidity to kind of bridge this gap. And there's ways that a lot of people can do that they haven't really realized or tapped into.
Sure. Well, I want to get to those. Before we jump into the middle of it, and with only 15, 20 minutes for our podcast, I want to get there quickly. But before we get there, would you mind sharing with the audience sort of what made you attracted to Wealth Factory, wealth management? What happened in your life to get you on this road?
15 years old, I started a business, won $500, taking third place for the rural young entrepreneur. My business was detailing cars. The next year I won $1,000 for first place, won $5,000 for winning the state. And I was just a good presenter because hell, it's just a car detailing business. But I thought $5,000 was a boatload of cash. So I thought, I got to invest this and get out of this little town and make it to the big city. And by the way, the big city for me was Salt Lake. So it wasn't a real big city. It was a pretty small city.
It was a bigger city.
Bigger city than what I had been into that point. So I wanted to invest that money. And as I started asking questions and figuring out what to do with it, one, my mom wouldn't sign off as a custodian because she's an Italian that puts her money in coffee cans, And so
yeah, exactly.
When I was 18, I started asking questions, and it was 1998. So everybody was making money in the stock market, and that's what everybody pitched me. And then in the year 2000, that market started to decline, and that's when I really got real knowledge. I did a once a month fly somewhere in the country because I was single, going to college, and I just used my young age to be able to speak to some of the giants in the financial world. And I figured out there's a completely different set of rules. And that the main thing was there's ways to get guaranteed returns. It was saving tax. It was saving on interest. It was, eliminating unnecessary fees and duplicate coverages with insurance. And so it blew my mind because I just saw this whole other path. And so I built a financial firm where we didn't get paid on managing money. People wrote us a check and we helped them manage cash flow. And we showed them how to create economic independence. So that was the start.
Wow. And I love how you came up, because I don't want to hear from somebody just from a book that they've read, but from a life that they've led. Yeah. And you being the guy who gets in there, wins the competitions and has your feet on the street, so to speak, like, and you saw those little shortfalls or pitfalls that the other guys weren't seeing. And this is exactly what we need today. I mean, now is the time. So jumping right into that, giving our current environment, do you have 2 or 3 golden nuggets that you could share with my audience that let them know things they could do to manage their cash?
Yeah. And right now, these times kind of get me fired up. I'm a little bit more passionate than normal, and I'm already a pretty passionate dude. And part of it's because we're getting terrible advice. Stay the course. You're in it for the long haul. The market's on sale. Really? Like, I just think that is really trite, terrible advice, because the reality is there's a lot we could do. Number one, we can look back and see if we've overpaid tax. And you now have new rules on not net operating losses. You can go back 5 years instead of 3 years. And if you had any losses that you normally have to carry forward because of alternative minimum tax and limitations, you can go back and get that. We had a client that was going to get $70,000 on something called R&D credits. R&D credits are if you've built a website, you've modified a CRM, you've built an app, anything with technology that you do within the United States, you get credits. And most people miss those credits. So you can go back and get those. Well, those were limited to $70,000 because of net operating losses. Once that ceiling was taken off, it was $1 million back into his pocket last week. Now, he still has to get the check from the IRS, but it's approved. It's done. And so that's a major rule. Yeah, that's a major rule. So looking back 3 years is really instrumental, but you can go back 5 years on this net operating loss thing with the new tax laws, you know. So I think that that's instrumental. And I also think that just refinancing, interest rates are so low right now, but you got to move quick because the banks are going to get tighter and tighter around lending as we see the economic suffering that's going to happen and the economy slows. So make sure to go get access to capital, because if you have the capital, one, we're never going to see a time like today for opportunity. A year and 2 years from now, people will be able to buy small businesses that didn't manage their cash flow properly, save that business, keep those employees, and advance their own interest and be able to create value with it for a song, because distressed sellers, they need cash. And if you have cash, you're going to be able to support them. So that's something I highly recommend, is getting access to capital. If you have a line of credit, better tap into it now, because the banks are going to start cutting those lines of credit out, even if you're not using it. If you're using it, it's fine. They're not going to get rid of it. But if you haven't deposited that into your checking account, you watch. They did in 2008. They're going to start saying, oh, you have a $100,000 line of credit with your business? That's gone tomorrow. We're no longer going to honor that.
No kidding.
You really want to tap in and get access to capital today, because it will either help you survive, or it's going to be the key thing that helps you thrive, because there's going to be an unprecedented amount of opportunity in the small business world.
So people who, because I've been asked this a few times, people who are looking to buy a house or refinance a house right now, should they do something now? Should they wait? Because the Fed cutting the rates down to near zero hasn't really made it to the home mortgage market. Do you have any information on that?
I would move quickly on the refinance. I would move very slowly on purchasing. The reason to wait on purchasing is interest rates aren't going up anytime soon. And real estate values are going to go down. Real estate values, unfortunately, are primarily predicated upon the payment people get. So they're buying a home that might be $300,000, but because the payment's so low with low interest rates, they'll go, well, I'm going to buy a $500,000 home because I can afford that payment.
Right.
And now they're at a rel thin kind of situation that they're one incident away from potentially losing that or missing payments because they overextended themselves. We're going to see those home values really go down substantially because of that, because lending will tighten. And even though interest rates are low, they're going to be harder to get access to that money, because now you've even got institutions dealing with this SBA loan, the emergency injury disaster loan. Well, guess what? That's going to go through institutions, right? Those institutions are going to be lending out that money. There's only so much money they're going to be able to lend out unless they change reserve requirements, and an increased default rate, which is inevitably going to happen, is going to make that tighter. So if you can hold off and remain really strong with your cash position, you're going to be able to buy an amazing priced home down the line. The problem is they might not be lending the money like they are today. So that's the kind of two-edged sword you got to navigate.
Yeah, guys, I hope you're listening to this. Henry, the business fighter, we've got Garrett on with the Wealth Factory. He's showing us and sharing with us how to make it through these times with your cash flow. He's dropping golden nuggets that I'm going to go back and listen to this again, because I have some net operating losses that I can reach back 5 years. And guys, listen, this thing, you don't get in your house and just hunker down and don't do anything. Use this time, like Garrett's saying, to pick through your things. Get a hold of Garrett. I'm going to ask him here in a minute how to get a hold of him, where to find out more of his information. But get with somebody like Garrett who can walk you through these steps and not only save you tons now, teach you how to manage your cash going forward, but now that everything's kind of been put on pause, use that time not to sleep in every day, but look back. Look at the tax breaks you could have got. Look at the things that you now can take advantage of that will make you 10 times better when this thing goes over. And it will go over. We will get by it. We will get through it. We always have, whether it's the 08 bubble, whether it's World War II, whatever it is, dude, we will get over it because we're Americans. We're strong.
There was World War II and polio. World War II and polio. right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we have COVID-19, but we're not World War II coming, and we got through that. So yeah, we'll get through it. There will be some difficulty getting through it. One of the easy things, I don't know how easy, but one of the quick things people can do to get money is they can go to covid19relief.sba.gov. And when you're applying, that's the emergency injury disaster loan. You can go where it says additional information section, check that box, and you can be considered for an immediate advance of $10,000. That is non-recourse if it's being used for, things
Payroll,
inside
rent,
the business.
utilities. Yeah.
So that's the quick one. Some of the other ones, I don't know if they'll be as quick. We'll have to see. I mean, the SBA is going to have their hands full. And some institutions are saying they're not going to participate even though they're approved. They're like, no, we're not going to do the loans. So
guys, please listen to that. I don't know if you're understanding exactly what Garrett's saying right now. I do, because I've been through this, but to the layperson, you might not. What he's saying is SBA will guarantee a certain percentage of that loan, and they may forgive some for necessary operating expenses like payroll, rent, utilities, so on and so forth. But it takes a bank to participate. You're not going to get a magic check from SBA. It's got to go through a lending institution. And what he's saying is, and what I'm saying is, get in a relationship with those institutions today. If you think you're going to have to take out this loan, if you think you're going to have to get some emergency relief, go make that relationship today. Call 3 bankers, call 10, but get in that relationship and get slotted in, because when their lending requirements, if they can only lend as a percentage of what they have on in cash and what they have in default, what they have loans out, what they have in deposits. So when you put that all in a hat and shake it up, it's going to get thinner and thinner and thinner.
It's going to go fast. It's going to go so fast.
Right, Garrett?
Yeah, there's the Paycheck Protection Program. That's just handled through banks. So, you don't even go to the SBA, and that could be, up to $10 million for some businesses, and it's for businesses 500 people or less in the business.
Yeah, so, and usually that's 2.5 times your monthly payroll that you can get qualified for immediately. And when he said non-recourse, that means it's not going to come back on you if you can't repay it. So that's a great opportunity. If you've got one of my companies has payroll of around 70, 80,000 a month. So we immediately qualify for 2.5 times that, just to get through these times. So those are opportunities that, like he said, like Garrett said, this window's opening right now. You've got it. Are you going to take advantage of it?
Right. So you can immediately go refinance your car. You can immediately go refinance your home, lower the interest rate, maybe even pull some money out, maybe lengthen the loan just so you have lower cash flow that's on the outgo. But the good news is, if you want to pay that off, you don't have to wait 30 years, but you want to lower your payments right now, because we don't know how long this is going to last, what quarantine impacts they're going to have, and really, for those people that have loans, it's not going to be as hard in the future, because they're flooding the markets with money right now, which means that'll be easier to pay in the future. Those people that have been doing everything they can to pay that off without investing in themselves, without growing a business, they're the ones actually in a tougher spot right now, in some ways. So you've really got to look at your skill sets, your abilities, reimagining what you can do to add value in this world, being there for people as leaders right now. That's what matters. That's what's going to be remembered, and it's going to build goodwill. You might not get as much cash flow during these difficult times, but what happens is you build space in people's minds as someone that's of value, and they go, I want to be with them when I've got a better situation. And you help them get to the better situation, and therefore you actually win the game, instead of just simply going, I'm going to hunker down, I'm not going to do anything, I hope someone comes to save me. The government's not going to save you. They can't. Corporations aren't going to save you. They won't. And effort isn't enough. It's time to be super strategic and be deliberate with your time day by day.
Garrett, I love your attitude, dude. I think we fire each other up, because when you're saying it, I'm getting like chills going, yes. They can't see me now because the Zoom works. If the person's talking, it shows their face, but my head is going like this, dude. I'm like agreeing with everything you say, man. And I'm so happy to see entrepreneurs and business owners like you with that attitude, because that's exactly the philosophy and the attitude that's going to get us through this. You can't hunker down. You've got to become better. You've got to become bigger. You've got to, like what you said in there, guys, I hope you heard him. Invest in yourself. Do something for yourself. Something as simple as meditating every day for 30 minutes and just taking the time to think. We don't even take the time to think, Garrett, and I think we miss a lot of stuff. Right.
When we don't take the time to think, we get stuck in the consumeristic condition where it's all about activity and busyness and consumption. And that's where the world has been, stuck. And this time, in this situation, what if we looked at it as happening for us, not to us, as a gift for us to truly think about what we want in life? Because when we don't, I think a lot of people lack vision, not because they're bad people, but because there's bad habits that are created from the time we're in school and we're learned to color within the lines and stand up straight and, go get a job and hope that you're going to get good benefits. And we sacrifice who we are. We give up a career that's meaningful for one that feels safe. And we found out what was supposedly safe isn't that safe, right? This whole fund a retirement plan, work for 30 years. What we do is we give up who we are in the name of that security that was false. And so if you take the time to think of a vision. And a vision is something beyond your reach. It's something you don't have the capability to do on your own. You don't have the resources. But if it's inspiring, you get resources from other people that say, I want to be part of that. I want to liberate 1 million entrepreneurs to become economically independent so they can change their family's financial future and their destiny. So they don't have to have the next generation born into bondage, and they don't spoil them with cash. They only give them opportunity and fun purpose. And that inspires me, and it inspires other people. And when I said it, I didn't know how the hell to do that. I just said it because I was bold enough to say it. And that's all you got to do. Be bold enough to speak it, and then live it.
I was interviewed yesterday, and I did a whole thing on fear versus faith. And what you just said was you're not operating in faith if you're not stepping out at the capacity that's it's larger than what you can even envision. I mean, if you're not being stretched and if you're not having to step really far to get to where you want to go, it's probably not the right vision. It's probably too small. And
it's a goal. It's just a goal at that point.
People have gotten used to living small and living average. And dude, this is not the time to do that. When other people want to hunker down, like we've said multiple times, you got to be the guy that gets out there, sharpens that axe, goes out and starts chopping bigger and harder and faster than anybody else, and have the big vision, have the big opportunity, and just having the cojones to do it, dude. Like what you just said, like some people just need to go do it.
Yeah. I mean, and look, you're going to make mistakes. It's part of the learning. Like when we were kids and I crawled and then I tried to walk, I'm pretty sure I fell on my ass over and over again trying to walk. But my parents didn't go, oh my God, he fell. We should never let him try that again. Right. Just keep crawling. But that's how we're taught in school when it comes to mistakes. Oh, you didn't get a perfect score. Now you get a lower grade. It's so funny because my son told my neighbor not too long ago, he goes, all those B students, all those A students are working for B students anyway, He said I just thought it was hilarious that he said that, because when he was 9, he heard my wife say, there wasn't a job for your dad. So he just went and created his own. He's an entrepreneur. And he goes, that's cool. You can do that. And it's like, I love that seed was planted. That you don't have to live within a box someone creates for you, that you have an opportunity to be a creator. And I think we're all creators in some form or fashion. If we're true to ourselves, we take that time to think, and we're willing to step outside of that comfort zone of being safe because we're worried about what other people think. Well, other people don't even think. Don't even worry about it. They're not even thinking about it. They're not thinking straight. Just do what you can do,
Garrett, we can break generational being normal. We can break generational almost
plagues. Generational plagues.
But we can break that right now in a time such as this. I mean, if you're going to do it now.
You nailed it. 100. Now's the time. Like, we are doing more family meetings because my 12 and 14-year-old are listening to me at a whole new level right now.
Yeah.
And we're writing questions to put on camera and ask them. We're having these meetings going through our family mission statement and our family creed and our family values. And now they're actually seeing what it means to them, where before it was just words on a piece of paper.
Right.
And we're saying, how do we support each other? And what are you looking to progress? What are you learning? What are you experiencing? Is there any fear that you feel? Where's that fear really coming from? Is it because you're worried about something in the future? Are you in any danger as we speak this moment? And it's really been I think the best teaching I've done, and it's for my own family, which I've always felt bad that I've given my best teaching to the world and never to my own kids. And for the first time, I'm not a Charlie Brown teacher where it's like, well, what? They're actually listening. Holy shit, it feels really good.
Dude, and so, I mean, we'll end on this, but all the kids are they have to be home and be homeschooled. Like they're all
quarantine
regulations, all that. They got to be quarantined and all that. So with your homeschool, guys, if you're listening, if you're homeschooling your kids, Don't just do the minimum. Don't get them hooked up to the computer, leave them alone, do whatever. Have that extra, even if it's 30 minutes, try to make it an hour, but even if it's 30 minutes as part of your homeschooling, do exactly what Garrett just said and ask them questions. Teach them about fear versus faith. Teach them about envisioning something bigger for their lives. Teach them something that they would never learn in school. This is your shot. This period in time will go down to one of the biggest disruptions on the globe. So how are you going to handle it, especially with your kids? And you don't know something unless you first teach it. So as you're teaching them, it's going to help you. And then you can spread that whole attitude to get to a higher altitude to all your friends.
Well, look, I mean, one thing is what we've discovered through homeschooling is what my son's learning in high school is worthless. It is disappointing.
Yeah.
And so like my other son's school, I'm a little bit more impressed with than the high school my son's going to. And I'm like, what they're learning there doesn't move the needle. But what they can learn from us can really move the needle. And what they can discover with this extra time from whatever they're reading or going beyond just what the regular school curriculum is, it checks boxes that is very antiquated. Like, yeah, that's the game. And so I really appreciate you saying it. And I'm with you on that 100%.
Cool. And moms and dads, your kids will listen to half of what you say, but they'll watch every stinking thing you do. So watch the way you convey thought when you're talking to your friends. You've always got little ears listening, and you set that example in your home. You be a leader in your home first, and then watch how that spills out to the rest of the world.
Totally.
All right, cool. Garrett, thank you so much. We're already at the end of it. I feel like I talked to you for 3 more hours.
That's awesome.
This has truly been a pleasure. Thank you for taking your time. Guys, Henry, the business fighter. Garrett, how do people get a hold of you? Where can they go to get some more of this great information?
If you go youtube.com/Garrett Gunderson TV or Garrett.live in your internet browser, I'm putting out 5 videos a week helping navigate all this. Wealthfactory.com/megakit. They can get my Killing Sacred Cows book, What Would the Rockefellers Do books at no charge as a gift to your community.
Guys, if you haven't read Killing Sacred Cows, that was a New York Times bestseller. It was like, this guy's famous. Garrett, I want one of those books signed, please.
All right, man. I got one right there, dude. I got one.
Okay. Put my name on it.
All right.
And I'll pay for it. But thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. And man, I'm with you. Anything that you ever need from me, let me know. Guys, listen to this. Go tell 10, 20, 30 of your friends. Pass this link on. I'm going to try to get this up fast because it's so relevant. It'll probably be Friday after next. But get this up. Send it to all your friends and go to Garrett's website, his YouTube page, all of that, YouTube channel, and listen to him because this man knows what he's talking about. Garrett, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, man. Hey, take care.
All right. See you later.